I don't know how to be a girl that guys like. And it does feel like there is still a template that like everybody else got that I didn't get.
I learned how to sort of be in a room and accommodate men and be the person that men wanted me to be in order to get their attention or to keep their attention or whatever. And you're saying like, I wish I learned that. And I'm like, no.
You're supposed to find somebody and stay with them and like the fact that I haven't done it yet, I feel like people are trying to figure out what's wrong with me.
Yeah.
Like people are not used to women coming in and dominating a conversation. And also like, I am not apologetic about dominating a conversation.
Don't be quiet. Don't be small. Don't see where you fit in a room. Like go into a room and say what you want and you know. Hi, welcome to the Wonder in the Weeds show, this time with one of our XYZ segments with Faith King, my daughter. I am Christy, your host. And today we are going to do almost like a little follow-up episode on the one I did last week, which was about, some revelations about being a woman in the world. I wore my shirt on purpose. She actually is a matching one, but I didn't tell her to wear it.
Honestly, and it's kind of good that we didn't wear matching shirts because that's what we would become known for.
We're bracelet buddies.
Oh, that's what they'll call us.
Anyway, so today we're going to start with the weeds, which is really just in overarching being a woman in the world today. Mm-hmm. But really what we're going to talk about is kind of led by me because I want to talk about what I have sort of noticed about being a woman in the world and the conditioning that I had, even though I didn't think I did. And then I'm kind of curious what Faith's take on that is too, being as I was the woman who raised her. So here we are. And this all sort of comes about as, this feels like one of those, this comes about because of gestures wildly.
Yeah. Just take a look around.
Yeah. But also as somebody who is, at a certain stage of life where you start to like not care as much anymore about what everybody else thinks, but also you notice more about how much you did care in the past, even though you thought you didn't. So like one of the things I talked about last week was noticing like that I was accommodating to largely men, but really to everybody, like not necessarily a people pleaser, but like reading a room and seeing how I needed to behave in order to make everybody comfortable. And I've sort of gotten over that part of it. But I think that that's largely like a woman's, all the work I do with women too in therapy and mothers in therapy, it's ingrained in us from whether we think we are or not, like whether we think that's ingrained in us or not. I think it has been revealed to me that it is more so than I ever thought. So I'm curious, 28 years later, I was 28 when I had her. So like 28 years later, what is it like for you? And have you noticed anything in spite of thinking you're sort of the strong and powerful woman? Have you noticed anything now that you're an adult in the world that are those like feminine tendencies? I shouldn't say feminine tendencies because that makes it sound like it's a bad thing. It's like things that we were taught to do.
Yeah. I feel like, I feel like they're so trivial, but like I was raised by you, a very feminist mom.
Indeed.
And then I went to an all-girls high school, which was really wonderful. But also my best friend and I talk about this all the time. We're like, the thing that we missed out on at our all-girls high school is that like we both like men. And like I still don't know how to like talk to boys. And I didn't realize how much that would become like a real insecurity for me. And like I joked with one of my other friends recently that I was like, I don't know how to be a girl that guys like. And it does feel like there is still a template that like everybody else got that I didn't get. So I guess it's not like something that I learned. It's something that like maybe I didn't wish I learned it, but like maybe my life would be easier if I did learn it. Like I don't know how to do the like, flirting and like, the kind of demure, like, bat your eyelashes at somebody 3 times and then look away. And like, how do you get somebody to like, I'm very like, I keep telling my friends, I'm like, I'm about as subtle as a brick. Like I keep telling people like, I like you. What's your deal? And like, so far 0% success rate with that. And I feel like that, I don't know. There are so many other things about being like a woman that and I guess maybe this is the broader theme is like, I feel like every woman in my life is like, well, if I could just fix this one thing about me, I'd be fine.
Yeah.
And the reality is like, you're going to find something else. Like if I suddenly woke up tomorrow and had a steady boyfriend, I don't think I would miraculously feel like I had done it all right. Like,
okay, I'm going to stop you because I want to ask about the part about having a steady boyfriend. Like, so I'll just be perfectly honest. And what you just described is the very thing that I wish I never did. As you know, like I started this by saying I learned how to sort of be in a room and accommodate men and be the person that men wanted me to be in order to get their attention or to keep their attention or whatever. And you're saying like, I wish I learned that. And I'm like, no, like part of the thing I love about your generation, seemingly, at least you and your friends that I witnessed are like, you just show up as yourselves and whoever is attracted to that gets to stay and whoever isn't gets to go. And I know that sucks probably sometimes because the ones you wish were attracted sometimes aren't. But I think that's the way to do it. Like the way you women are doing it when you're just like, I am who I am and the people who like me will like me, and not in like a crappy way. I know sometimes people use that I am who I am as an excuse to be a bitch or a dick, but excuse my language.
No, but
like, I don't mean that. I mean, like you genuinely show up as yourself and hope. So my first reaction when you say like, if I had a steady boyfriend, I'm like, oh God, that's the exact opposite that I was trying to do.
Well,
as a teacher, but so I want to, why do you feel like that is a valuable thing and or a missing piece?
I think that's like cultural conditioning. Like we're still a very like, I mean, we were talking about it the other day that like you're still, even though like I had this great mom and I had these great parents and I have so many like, there are so many like strong women in my life who have super fulfilled lives who aren't married or like aren't coupled up. And you still feel like, I feel like I'm still like, not such a failure because that's so dramatic, but I'm like, you're still kind of conditioned to like, okay, you'll have your career and then like, you'll eventually settle down. Like, and I don't know, you didn't settle down, but like,
no,
it just feels like
but
that's
I did
still
partner up really early in my life.
Like that's still what you're supposed to do is like, you're supposed to, find somebody and stay with them. And like the fact that I haven't done it yet, I feel like people are trying to figure out what's wrong with me.
Yeah. I
like
get that.
People are like, my friends are all great. And the amount of friends that I've made, even in this new state, who are like, how are you still single? And I'm like, guys, I don't know.
If I knew that, I
wouldn't be single anymore. Yeah. But there does seem to be a like, this still like societally, a like, oh, you've never had a boyfriend? Huh.
Yeah.
Weird. Like,
also, I will say the other thing, because as a parent, you're like constantly also looking to be like, what am I doing something to contribute to this? And certainly the all girls high school didn't help. But I think now, and I would love for you to answer this, what it looks like now is that, and you said this about I never learned to talk to boys, is like the goal is dating them. And, we're in this new city and I keep being like, just get on the apps as a way to like meet people, not as a like, quite frankly, because I'm a little envious. I'm like, at 52, I don't have the same amount of options to like go out and meet new people as 23. Like you just have a lot more, it's not weird if you show up at like a meetup event. It's weird if like the 52-year-old
so anyway,
married mother of three shows up at the like young, new Minneapolitans or whatever. But if the like pressure to like meet people includes dating them, I can understand why you're like, yeah, no thanks. I don't need that. So, and I just was around guys more frequently, mostly because it was just like a numbers game. Like I grew up in a neighborhood with a lot of guys. I went to high school and was into sports. So but that didn't really do it. Like, it's not like I was like at the boys' practices, but I was like hanging around after school while they also practiced. I was practicing. So like, you have more options to be around them. And I knew sports. And so that was part of the accommodating was like, oh, I know I can go into this group of boys and talk about something that would be interesting to them. Now, I didn't know science fiction or movies as well, or, any of those things. So like that ruled out a whole class of men for me because I couldn't have those conversations. Whereas you can, like,
yeah.
And I know we tease about theater guys frequently are LGBTQ members of the LGBTQ community. So, the pickings are slim sometimes.
But I think the thing that I learned that I don't know if this is like a pro or a con is that it's something I'm working on is I tend to come into conversations and dominate a conversation.
And you couldn't tell that at all from this podcast.
Yes, clearly. And most of with people I know, with my friends, I think I am way better than I was even 3 years ago.
Well, also they'll tell you to be like,
yeah,
quiet down.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I have found that the older I get, I still come in and I'm like, okay, let me ask a question. Let me do this. I've been at 3 auditions recently, and I've learned I'm getting a good job. I'm getting a good grade in having a conversation with a new person because I've just been and what do you do? And where are you from? And I just got here. Here's this thing. And I think that is a really powerful tool. And also it makes men uncomfortable. People are not used to women coming in and dominating a conversation. And also I am not apologetic about dominating a conversation. And maybe
are you dominating a conversation you don't let the people speak?
No, I just am confident in what I have to say. Okay. And I don't apologize for knowing a lot about something. Yeah. If I come in and I'm talking about movies or I'm talking about music, I'm like, oh my God, I love this artist. And did you know this thing? I mean, I think about that story, and I was rude, but that story from the open mic night where it was me and a bunch of dudes at this open mic, and one of the performers started playing Taylor Swift's Betty. And I went, yay, when I heard, and the guy who was hosting it was like, oh, of course the young girl knows the Taylor Swift song. And I put both my elbows on the table and went, well, she samples a Bruce Springsteen song in this. Because it was first of all, screw you. You're going to...
Old man.
Not even... This guy was 25. He was a couple years older than me. And that's why I was what's even the deal? We don't have to talk about Taylor Swift on this podcast, but one of the biggest artists of our time, you're going to tell me that only the little girl is excited with the Taylor Swift song? And then also, I at the same time was how dare you make it seem like I don't know what music is because I'm excited about Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
So let me tell you that this was a Bruce Springsteen sample. And let me also tell you that she did this thing. And let me play a song that you don't know by an artist you don't know. And that...
Also, let me get up and sing my own songs
original
that I wrote
songs.
myself.
Yeah. And that kind of energy is off-putting to I think a lot of dudes. And it's sometimes off-putting for young women my age, but I think more and more it's not.
Yeah.
There are more...
Women are being, again, we're not, I wasn't explicitly taught to accommodate men in a room, but I was given those messages frequently. And I feel like this generation is getting from their mothers, don't do that. Don't be quiet. Don't be small. Don't see where you fit in a room. Go into a room and say what you want. And but there also has to be a little bit of vulnerability in that is scary. If you're putting yourself out there, you have to be ready for people to not like you because they're gonna. Yeah. There's just not everybody. You're not everybody's cup of tea.
And
there's a little sign at our UPS store that says, you can't make everyone happy. You're not a taco. And I always think of that because it's such a catch-22, this idea of be big, be bold, be yourself. Also, maybe you're not big and bold. I am, people are going to be surprised by this because they always are, but I am by nature an introvert. I hate going into, well, I should clarify. I love standing on a stage and speaking to people. I hate going into a room full of people and having to make conversation with people. I don't hate it. It's exhausting to me. It takes every ounce of my energy to be, to filter out the outside noise and listen and do these sort of surface level conversations. It's exhausting to me. Everybody who knows me is shocked by that because they think I'm such a social person, but I force myself to be a social person.
You also have helper energy. You exude, some of the exhaustion is because I've been in crowded rooms with my mom and I've been I was just talking to so-and-so about the weather. And she's like, did you know that this person and this person are getting a divorce? Yeah. And I'm how did you find that out? We're at a cocktail hour.
It was the second thing they said to me.
Yes. So some of it is you have a little bit, and I think that like sometimes I get this too of like being a kind, confident woman in a space. It gives people an opening to like let their own guards down.
Yeah.
And that can be, I've watched it happen to you a lot. And I'm like, that is exhausting. Like, and that's nothing you can change. That is just like showing up in the world as like a woman who knows how to like stand on her own 2 feet and a confident person means that other people are like, oh, good. Can I hand you this for like 30 seconds? This has just really been weighing me down. And so you get to the end of the night and you're like, I need to go sit in a quiet room with all my dogs for 20 minutes. And I think about you being like, I need 20 minutes where no one needs anything from me. And like, that doesn't happen very often, but as an adult, I kind of understand that more and more.
Well, last night I had wall-to-wall clients yesterday. I started at 8 and I wasn't done till 5. And she came in from this audition and wanted to talk about it. And I was like, I'm watching TV. Just cut her off mid-sentence.
I was like, oh, we're done.
Yeah, I was like, I'm sorry. I cannot take in anybody else's information right now.
And we are at a point in our relationship where like, I know that that's not mean. Like,
I couldn't have said that 5 years ago.
Yes, I wouldn't have been able to take it if I was like 20. I would have been like, my mom doesn't want to listen to what I have to say.
And I did listen for a few minutes.
Yeah,
I was like,
you got like one story out and you were like, I can't go through it beat by beat. I was like, okay, heard.
So wait, getting back to the weeps of being a woman. Sorry, we can go off on tangents here. I guess what I wanted to have, I wanted to bring you into this conversation because I have sort of realized some things about how I was conditioned for years and I think the thing that, I'm wearing this shirt. I was raised in this house full of really strong women. I was told I could do anything, but also simultaneously told I better find a rich man if I want to do certain things. So like I had those mixed messages and I was aware of them. So I thought that I wasn't doing the things. And then I thought in raising her that I was like trying to even up it one more level of like, no, show up as yourself. Don't change who you are. Don't listen to the people that, while also being like, did you do something? Are you the bitch here? Because like, that was definitely one of my first questions whenever she'd come in from, school or whatever and complain. I'd be like, well, what did you do? These kids, all 3 of them now have said to me recently, I feel like I have to go because if you don't go to the slumber parties, you don't get invited to the slumber parties. And that was like a mantra when they were little of like, again, their introverted mom being like, if you keep saying no to the invitations, you're going to stop getting the invitations. And so I tried to sort of impart some life lessons that I felt like I didn't do so well. And so it's like disheartening to hear, oh, I feel like I'm a failure because I'm not coupled up. But I realized like it's bigger than me.
Yeah.
Like that's the world at large. So is there anything else that you sort of find like, oh, I'm doing this thing that I'm shocked that I'm doing, or like I want this thing that I don't know if I'm supposed to want as, an empowered woman? Like, is there anything besides a relationship?
Yeah. I definitely still, it's funny. I was talking to my boss yesterday. The woman
She's a badass.
I love her. The woman I nanny for is a lawyer. And I was telling her this joke that I love, which is like, I don't know how lawyers do their jobs because I can't get into an argument without crying. And she very coolly was like, I don't have the argumentative crying gene. Like, I'm really good at like doing like high power conversations, no emotion, like these things. And I was like, yeah, that's not me. Like
which you don't get from me because I'm like that.
Yeah. And I still I still get like, well, I don't really like cry, but my voice gets very high and it gets very quiet. And it
doesn't get quiet.
Well, it feels quiet to me. Also, I do black out. Like, I don't remember what I've said. I think about when I think there's a sense of like, I want you to, well, no, because.
But wait, so do you not want to, like, do you feel like that's a failure that you can't get emotional while arguing? Or that you get emotional? Or like, does that feel like, oh, I shouldn't do that?
I feel like sometimes it does undercut my point. Like,
oh, 100% it does, but also it's not a flaw. Like, yeah. I think that's the sort of masculine bullshit that we're fed all the time. That like, to be professional, you can't be this. To be, whatever, you can't be this.
I think, and like, this is some of my own stuff from like, I haven't really experienced it in the workplace. I experienced it most at school. And like,
Which was your work?
which was my workplace for a while. Like I still have the like, and I think this is like a universal like women thing of like, women are such like fixers. Like we are like accommodators.
Mhm.
So like there were a couple of times at school where like I'd be doing an acting exercise and the acting exercise would be like just yell at each other for 20 minutes.
Mhm.
And like I didn't want to do that. And I got accused of like stalling the scene because I wasn't yelling back. I was like trying to accommodate. I was trying to like make sure that get this person to stop yelling at me. And I don't know, I don't feel bad about that because I also was like, you're a man and you think that like, it feels like the only way to argue is to yell in like a man's world.
Yeah.
And I just think that there has to be room for, I don't know, because it's like, is it accommodating if you are trying to de-escalate a situation, or is it actually de-escalate? Like I think of all the times that like both you and dad, you more so than dad, because
He's a yeller.
dad's a great person to pick a fight with if you want to get into a fight.
He likes to fight.
But you, when we were kids, were known for going, I'm not going to have this conversation with you,
Mhm.
and walking away. And it was the most infuriating.
Really, it was,
thing.
I'm not going to let you talk to me like this.
Yes.
It wasn't, I'm not going to have this conversation. Like, I'm not doing this while you're shouting in my face.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I think that that's such a powerful.
Stand by that.
The older I get, the more I'm like, that's actually a really powerful thing
Yeah.
to do. And sometimes I wonder, I'm like, is that accommodating? Is that being like, or is it that's like standing your ground more
Yeah,
and
that's
being
standing
like,
your ground.
you don't get to talk to me when you're yelling at me.
Yeah, accommodating is more of a like, and in your case with the class, it probably was accommodating to some because he was in a position of power, the professor.
Yeah.
So you were, and that's what I mean by like what's ingrained as women. What's ingrained, it's accommodating, but it's like pacifying because it's a safety issue in a lot of ways. Like, not that he was going to abuse you physically, but he very nearly abused you emotionally in that class. And I think there's probably a lot of acting majors who have similar stories about professors and, you know, what they think is the right way to do it and how they kind of just badger you until it gets done. And, you know, every time she would come to me with a story, I'd be like, this is a, first of all, as a therapist, I was like, this is an emotionally dangerous situation, but also this is a man-woman. Like, he thinks there's a way to do it and you're not doing it his way. And you actually feel a little threatened by his way. And so you're trying to change it because that's who she is. Like, there is no accommodating. Like, if she thinks it's wrong, she's not doing it. And so I think that for him was really challenging. They ended up, coming to a bit of a peaceful agreement.
And listeners, I did change it. He actually teaches that class differently now because of things I said. But I remember talking to you after. I was like, I brought in notes, and in front of the entire class, I listed all the things I thought were wrong and damaging. And you were like, what? Is that? And I think one of the things that you said, maybe you and Danny, my sister, both were like, hey, great that you did that. Maybe be prepared to fail this class.
Well, because the other thing I thought there was like, and this is where I think some of the lesson is you could have done that. You could have booked time with him privately. Because in front of the class is then where you sort of sank to his level a little bit. Like, you don't need to humiliate the guy.
This is my, and maybe youth is wasted on the young, is that like, I've had a couple of experiences in my life where I have told a teacher my feelings about their teaching in front of the entire class. And I've had you and actually other teachers be like, hey, I agree. And there's a better way to do that.
Yeah.
And I find, and maybe this is a little breaking it, is that like, no, public humiliation is the only way to get to these guys. Like, he wasn't gonna listen to me if I booked time with him by myself.
Yeah.
And also, if I wasn't in front of my peers, I wasn't gonna say the points that I needed to say.
Sure.
Like, the thing that was actually helpful was saying these things and looking up and having the other women in my class say, we feel this way too. And I think that's sometimes what my role is to be the first person in a room to say, I think this is wrong, and like open the gates up for other people behind me to be say like, we agree, we also think this is wrong.
Well, and you'd had those conversations with those women. It's not
Yeah.
like you were just hoping that they were going to agree with you. You knew they agreed with you.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And in the same, even when I was, in the 7th grade, like everybody hated that teacher. And I was the one who said, I think you're being disrespectful to me and the rest of the class.
Okay, so then how is that woman, the same woman who was like, I don't know how to talk to boys. Like, how do you have that kind of confidence and like groundedness in making your point and doing it right? But then the thought of going on a date is like terrifying to you. Like what's
okay.
there?
And this is so sad, but there
It's really human, actually. You're just brave for even saying it.
There is still, I feel there are still this like, well, that's not a woman that men want. Like,
and you're right, for a lot of them.
Men don't want.
But do you want the man who doesn't want that kind of woman?
Well, no, but I don't think he exists.
I mean, I'm married to one.
Yeah, you got the last one. We've talked about this. If you are married before the 2010s, it probably feels like getting on the last chopper at an arm.
But think about all the guys that your sister is friends with. Think about that group of guys.
I do love those guys. But
so they're out there is my point. Like there are men out there that would find that, sure, that probably would find it attractive, but also wouldn't be threatened by it, or even might be a little like, whoa, but like that's intriguing, I think, to some people. So why not go out and try to find them?
Yeah, I don't know.
She's like, I didn't know you were going to get so deep on me here. But but I'm asking that question because I feel like that's the stuff that's still out there, like societally. And look, some of it's like not obvious. Some of it's like in your face right now with all this like trad wife BS and like, succumb to your man and like the way they're trying to sell. They're trying to sell you subservience in like a nice little bow by saying like what you're really doing is embracing your feminine side or whatever. Like, look, I mean, so far she's described me as a helper. Like there are many feminine qualities that I embrace fully. And that doesn't mean I'm not allowed to stand up for myself or have an opinion or be in the room with people. And yet I think when you're in your 20s, you're like, well, but nobody really wants that.
Yeah, it does kind of feel like, and like, this is what I mean by like, I don't know how to, when I joke that I'm like, I don't know how to be a girl that guys want, is I'm like, well, I don't know how to be anyway, other than like kind of loud and in your face. And I don't know. And the couple of like times that I have had crushes on guys, and like, I remember literally one time in college where I was obsessed with this boy, and he was complaining about one of his guy, like, colleague, like friends, they were kind of in the same friend group. And this was a guy who sucked. Universally, everybody knew he was mean to his guy friends. He was mean to women. He was just not a good guy to be around. And this guy that I was talking to was like, yeah, I just don't know what to do about him. And I was like, tell him he sucks. And he was like, well, I just don't associate. And I was like, that's not enough anymore.
Yeah.
You know that if he is in the group chat trying to get you to come out, you understand you have the power to tell him to knock that off. And then that guy never spoke to me again.
Yeah. Yeah, because they don't like to be challenged like that. But again, that's not a guy you want in your life then.
But like, what? Like,
yeah. Well,
and like,
the good news is you learn quickly. You didn't have to waste a whole lot of time.
Yeah.
But But I know that's easier said than done. No. But I mean, I have 10 stories like that of when I was young too. And guys who I thought were like super into me. And then I would say one thing or do one thing or be better at them than something. And it was like, they never spoke to me again. And I was like, oh, okay. And I guess where I stopped short and where I'm hoping where it seems like you do stop short is that I didn't then go try to like get him, like reel him back in. I was a little bit like, I mean, this stinks and I was hurt by it, but okay, I guess. Like,
and I think some of it is like, and maybe this is just like, this is going to sound so full of myself, but like, I'm not really comfortable being made to feel insecure. I'm really fortunate in that it hasn't really happened to me that much in my life.
Yeah.
Or it happened a lot when I was younger and I got over it and we all grew up. So being hit with that feeling of like, really kind of putting myself out there and saying something and having like a challenging conversation. As much as I have made it seem, listeners, I'm not like going out looking for fights.
No.
Like I tend to be,
she's a little bit Little Mary Sunshine. Like,
yeah.
There's not, we have dwelled on like the few parts where she is, loud and opinionated.
But most
really
of the time, I'm so excited to see you. I'm so excited to hang out. If anything, it's like so energetic. It's like the Energizer Bunny. Like people are like, I often joke that like, it's actually in a similar way to your like, you can't go to a party without hearing about everybody's divorces. Mm-hmm. All of my friends, I am like, except for my best friend who's another crazy extrovert, like I am friends with a lot of introverts. Yeah. And I think it's because they're like, well,
I don't have to do anything.
I don't have to do anything. Like, and like, I had friends out here who are like, yeah, you walk that line really well. Like you are super, you love people, you love meeting people. And also like, you can kind of get people who normally would not come hang for a few hours. And I was like, yeah, it's because when I say when you say we need to leave, we leave. Like,
also, you're interested in them. You have said like, I dominate the conversation, but really you don't. You're usually dominating it by asking somebody questions about themselves. Like, you are interested in the people that you meet, which is kind of rare too. And we're going to be so off topics, and I'm watching the time, and we got to
we got to wrap that up. But I think that that's another thing is that like there are like and maybe I think of this with like my generation too of like I spend most of my time feeling pretty confident in like myself and my abilities, that even when I'm having challenging conversations with my parents or with my friends, I am like, well, if I say something that is wrong or difficult or challenging, like the people in my life are going to assume the best intentions, and they're going to say like, hey, or they're going to come back at me and be like, hey, that thing that you said, like that was wrong. I didn't like that. It hurt my feelings, whatever. And I might feel a little insecure or bad in the moment, but it's not going to be a relationship destroying thing. And I'm just not used to saying something and being made to feel like what I just said was wrong enough to never want to speak to me again.
Well, I think that what you just described, male or female, is very rare. Like, look, I work with couples, so I'm here to tell you that the biggest problem between them is that it's very hard to say and receive difficult, things, like something that's wrong. So for you to say, like, I hope my friends come to me and say, hey, this really bothered me, that is very rare. Mm-hmm. And it's very rare that you're going to meet people who will do that. The reason that you're best friends with the people you're best friends with is because you met those people. They're going to tell you, one specifically, she's going to tell you when you're messing it up. But vice versa, she's open to accepting when you tell her to. Mm-hmm. And that is a really rare thing. And especially at 23, it gets better. People grow into that. But and I wonder if that's some of the hesitation is like, you might not find that right away. Your dad and I, you always talk about how great, like what great communicators we are and whatever. We weren't at 24. There was a lot of screaming and yelling and a lot of shutting down and a lot of defensiveness and a lot of things that we learned over the years in order to stay together and be able to communicate with each other. But if I had gone out dating, looking for a guy like that, I wouldn't have found him either at 24. I mean, we met when we were 20. All the people I dated actually, that's not true. I dated one guy in high school that was the most like emotionally available human being ever. And it was such a turnoff ultimately. Yeah. I was like, this is way too much work at 17. So, careful what you wish for. But
it broke up with him after Art Month.
I know, poor guy. Anyway, I think I talked about him in the last podcast too. He's getting a lot of play on these shows lately. But so let me just sort of put a bow on this. The weeds recently for both of us, I think, have been sort of realizing the patriarchy stuff and the misogyny stuff that's ingrained, even though we thought we were fighting against it, and we were, and we were like too tough for it to get to us. It got to me. I'm 52, and it got to me, and I think it sounds like it's a little bit gotten to you too, in spite of all our efforts.
The other like patriarchy thing, this is quick, I promise, is like feeling so good when you get positive attention from a guy.
Yeah,
like. There are times where like
I know, but some of that's biology.
But like there are times
attraction is attraction. Like you can't fight everything.
Yeah, you can't fight everything. And there are times where I'm like, I am no better than a worm. But like, if I remember specifically a time in college that I was like, I looked really good. I felt really good about the outfit I was wearing. And I had on these new boots. I kept saying I was new boot goofing because I had on these new boots. And a guy in like a basement bar, it was so dark and sticky, like pulled me, pulled me by the shoulder and was like, you look amazing. I hope I see you later tonight, and walked away. And I was like, this is the greatest ever. I think I left after that. Like I was
I
like,
think that's some of the like, yeah, and this isn't quick. We should do a part 2. But I think that's, and maybe we should do a part 2 about that. Like, what is it to be feminist? Because I think trying to say like we should never feel good about getting attention. I just saw a woman on Instagram say, I'm a feminist till things are too heavy. She was talking about my husband always travels with me so he could put my stuff in the overhead bin. And she was like, I'm a feminist till my bags are too heavy. So like trying to, like, if we think feminism is like completely giving up on anything that's feminine, then that's not right either. So yeah, we got to cut it off or else this will be another 4 hours. But that's a good conversation to have. It's like, what does feminism mean
write
at
that
52
down, write
and
that
24?
down. Yeah.
23. I'm already aging you.
Please.
It's before we get into the next, because we're going to do 2 more segments. One, we got to talk about our wonder. And then we're starting a new thing because we're constantly yapping about media, TV and music and books. So we're going to share some of our favorites with you recently. But I want to talk about my shirt because if you're watching this, you are probably like, what the heck? What the heck is that? So if you're not watching, it says disgustingly pro women. And it's from Flamingo's Cafe and Coffee Bar, I think, in Vermont, New Hampshire. I don't remember. I have never been there. It was an Instagram ad that came across my feed like 2 years ago. You were still in college because I sent it to you in college. And it was I think a Yelp review or a Google review of the coffee bar. It was like a guy came in and was like, the place is disgustingly pro women, but the coffee's okay. and the women who own the coffee shop like turned it into their logo. It's so good. So I, of course, had to buy the t-shirts and I wear it whenever I feel like, I don't have the everyone watches women's sports shirts. I had one, but it was gigantic because I bought it
we have to
in
get
another life.
Before.
And also it was Liberty, New York Liberty green. And so that's not really something I can wear in Lynx country. But instead of that, I often wear my disgustingly pro women shirt when we're going to see women's sports. So that's the shirt. I will try to find a link if they're still selling. And I'm not sure they're still selling it. They did like a limited press, but everybody loved it so much that they might be selling more. And they have a pink one too, but that's not my jam. So, but there's something kind of funny about it being in light pink too. Like
I have the pink one in the box.
It's awesome. Anyway, so that's my shirt. But this week's wonder, I didn't really think about this week's wonder. Do you have anything? Like, so we're talking about being a woman. So maybe the wonder is like, what's good about being a woman this week?
I have two answers. I have one good and one like silly. And this will tie into our part 2 of like what it means to be a feminist. Is like, I am at a point in my life now where I am not growing out of shoes anymore. And that means that like I have a shoe gene. I am a 3rd generation shoe girl.
We did pass that down.
And so we went to like brunch on Easter and I wore these shoes that I bought that are like, I love them so much.
Red heels. Anybody who's known
patent leather heels. And I love high heels. Like I love the way they look. I love the way they make me feel. I feel like I walk so powerfully in them. So I feel like that's and like, look, clothing is genderless. Wear whatever heels you want. That's such a good, like, feminine thing for me. And then also, like, in a broader sense, the communities of women that I have been fortunate enough to like surround myself with are so wonderful and so uplifting that like, I just am always like, what a gift. Like, to have like women in my life that I am so like deeply in love with and like admire and that get on my nerves and frustrate me. And also like, there's just something kind of great about knowing somebody is going to have a similar life experience to you by virtue of the body with which they move around the world in. Like, there's something nice about like an innate understanding of like this, like, I went to the mall with my friends because we were trying to buy an outfit for somebody. And I was like, sometimes the mall makes me evil. And they were like, heard, absolutely. We will not let the mall make you evil. I'm like, yeah, because every woman has gone on to try clothes and been like, why am I evil now?
Yeah.
And so there's just something very sweet about that kind of shared camaraderie. And like, I babysit for a little 4-year-old, and she's also so cool and like so into sports that I'm like, this is great. I do love being a woman. I love women. I love being a woman. I love sharing the world with women. So yeah.
She obviously doesn't listen to the show on a regular basis because it's basically what I talked about last week.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't really have much more wonder than that, because I talked a lot about my wonder last week of like being in women's spaces and going to places where you're just, you're safe and understood and accepted and that kind of thing. So my wonder this week is that I had one of the best women in the world come and visit. She came from the East Coast. She and her family came from the East Coast, and we went to a basketball game and we went to dinner, and it was just, you meet these people in your life that are like soulmates, and you don't really, sometimes you don't know it right away, but then there's like this sort of unraveling of like, we met because our kids were friends and, that kind of thing. But there's just like a deeper connection there. And I got to be in person with her this week, and that was great fun. So that was my wonder.
Yeah.
Good friends. So no matter how far away you move, they're still your people. All right, let's get into it. Books, what we're reading, what we're listening to, what we're watching this week. You can start.
Okay.
I'm just going to do one of each.
I'm going to do one of each too. Okay. I just finished.
All right, what are you reading?
I just finished reading a book called In Memoriam by Alice Wynne. I tore through this book. This is not a feminist book. This is a book about two best friends during World War I, who one of them, to escape his undying crush on the other, enlists in the war.
That's drastic.
Yes. But then the other one follows him. And so it follows like their lives throughout World War I in the trenches. And there's a lot of conversations about like straight women consuming gay men media. And I'm aware of those conversations. They're in love. Like
sorry. Yeah. My little hetero brain didn't catch that.
You're like, I just thought they were buddies. But
I thought he was escaping another crush.
Oh no,
he was escaping the person that came with him.
The person who followed him, because he's also in love.
Got it.
And it's a really great book, but it's also, I talked with a friend a lot about it is a book that I think does a brilliant job of talking about the tragedies of war and like how ultimately war is pointless. Not to get like glibly political with it, but it uses these two young men and like their young friends to kind of illustrate that like there is no reason for this kind of fighting. There is nothing that separates
Nothing's going to come from it.
Nothing's going to come from it, and there's nothing that separates them from the people on the other side of the line from them. And all it's going to do is like destroy a generation of people for years and years to come. Generations
I
of
would
people.
Argue.
Yeah, truly. But that book was incredible.
Say it again. What's the name?
In Memoriam by Alice Wynne.
Okay.
It also,
what are you watching?
I'm watching The Pit. I'm watching season 1 of The Pit.
She's going back.
I missed it when it was airing, and my mom was like ground floor. Like she was there. One may argue she's still there.
I don't love season 2 as much as I love season 1, but don't tell me. But the rumors that they're coming out with the night shift have my heart all aflutter. So we'll talk about it later.
I didn't watch it. I sometimes get very anxious around medical dramas, so I didn't watch it when it was airing.
I don't know how you're not anxious. This is like,
I watch it like this. Yeah. I watch it through my eyes. But the characters are so compelling that it like has put my anxiety on the back burner. Yeah. Also, it is an acting masterclass.
I mean, yes.
Everything you watch is like, I watched two characters have a whole conversation, no words, and I was like, wells of emotion. So I'm watching The Pit season 1. I'm gonna try and work my way through season 2 as well, because I'm like watching in real time with them as it airs.
Yeah.
And then like going back and like crash landing into the last season. So it'll be cool. I love you, Dr. Giavotti. That's my go.
That's awesome. Listening to anything? Podcast
I'm listening
music?
to
Anything
right now. I'm listening to a
music?
song called "The Hand" by Annabelle Dinda. It is so good. She's like a little indie artist. It is a song about, truthfully, the trials and tribulations of being a woman.
Excellent.
But one of the lines in it is, every time I open my mouth, I think, wow, what a loud noise. And then the bridge is like, this isn't rage. It's too specific. Like, it's just so good. It's such a good song. I did see it first in a fan edit to The Pit. So that's how I found out about it. But it is a good song outside of the context of a fan edit of The Pit.
That's awesome.
But yeah, those are my 3.
Okay. I have to pick a book. I have like 8 books written down because I've been reading for some reason recently the books that are book club. I joined a book club and it's me and a bunch of retired women, which is glorious. I'm learning. I will say one thing about getting older is that I love hanging out with women that are older than me. There's like something about,
I also love that.
there's like something about your elders that's just great fun. Anyway, so I'm in this book club and for not on purpose, but we've had a bunch of like really pro women books. And I'm torn. Maybe I'll do another one next month. But all right, I'll give you the one that we just read. It's called The Seed Keeper by, I think it's The Seed Keeper is, hold on, I got to look at my actual notes. Diane Wilson. Because I'm terrible, especially on the Kindle or like the Kobo app. I'm terrible at titles and names now because I don't see them. Like when you hold a book, you're constantly looking at the cover and the title and the author, and you don't when you're on a e-reader. So I have to write it all down. But anyway, it's called The Seed Keeper. Actually, I think it's just called Seed Keeper. I don't even think there's a the. And it is a story, but their story of like, the Trail of Tears and the native. It's all in Minnesota. So it's the story of the Dakota in modern times and in her like how we got here. Also, it's about Minnesota farmers, and so they from like the beginning, family farming into like when bigger chemical companies come in with seeds and patented things and all of that mess, and how that sort of juxtaposes with Native American ideals and how they treat the land versus how commercial farming treats the land. But also the author does an amazing job of equally presenting all of that. No one's vilified. Even though there's clearly villains in that story, no one is vilified in this. Like that, she does a really great job of giving the farmers' perspective as well as the Native women and men that are in the book. It's a beautiful book. I feel like I learned a ton. I always think white people should be reading books about people of color because that's just, we didn't learn this in school. And actually, my book club talked about that a little bit about, did anybody know any of this? Because some of these women are from the towns where this book is, and they had some information, but, we all basically talked about how what we learned was like, we were so nice inviting the natives to our dinners and, that kind of BS that we all know now isn't true. Yeah. And that they were never invited to anything. Anyway, except their own death. Called The Seed Keeper, Diane Wilson. Please go read it. It is outstanding. What am I watching? Oh, I just started watching the show Rooster. With Steve Carell on
Apple TV.
Apple? Okay, I couldn't remember if it was HBO or Apple. And it's great fun. It's a guy who goes to, I don't even think he finished college. He's like a writer of like Carl Hassan, those like beach, like dudes in Florida solving crimes, like those like grocery store books. He's like a writer of those kind of novels. And he's asked to come speak at this liberal arts fancy schmancy college. And again, it's just the characters. It's Bill Lawrence, I think, the guy who does Shrinking and Scrubs and all of those. I'm pretty sure it's his show because the characters are that sort of compelling. Who doesn't love Steve Carell, but all of them in it.
Steve Carell has had such a good second act post The Office. No shade to The Office, but I love everything he does.
The depth is incredible. We could do a whole episode on him. If you ever watched Ted Lasso, Jamie Tart is also in this show, and it is in a very different role, and it's glorious. It's so good. Go watch it. It's called Rooster. It's fun, and it's quick, and I don't know, like sometimes I just need quick and light in my life, and that's what this show is. And so it's awesome. And then listening to, I was just saying, like, there hasn't been much new. There's this song, Brady Carlisle had a new album a little while ago, and there's one song that they just played at the end of the show Shrinking, and I was bawling. And I think it's called Me Without You. And it's basically about like watching your kids grow up. And I thought I was going to like hyperventilate the other night when I've heard it a bunch, but for some reason at the end of that show, it really got me. But I haven't really, there's not a lot of no cons coming soon, but it's not out yet.
We're going to get like a new music summer.
Yeah, because it's been a little, so ironically, I've been listening to like doo-wop 60s women's group, which has been kind of fun. Like it's stuff I used to listen to when I was a little kid. I'm not that old, by the way. They were oldies when I was a little kid. And so I'm just kind of coming back to them now that you can find, whatever you want and put it on a playlist. It's glorious. So, all right. That's all I got. Some oldies but goodies. Thank you guys for coming. I will say 2 things. One, we are going to move this show to Substack. I have put Wonder in the Weeds over on Substack. We're going to write there, I think, frequently. Well, I'm going to write there frequently. She's going to write there sometimes when she has time. So we'd love for you to come and find us on Substack. Also, you can follow us both on Instagram. That's kind of where we spend most of our time. And Faith just did a fun thing through the month of March where she put one of her own original songs up every single day.
Yeah.
So go to @Queen of Kings 912 or Dr. C. Ritz-King on Instagram. Follow us there. If you want, like and subscribe here, we would really appreciate it. And also, we'll put some more information about Substack out on the interwebs, and you can follow us there too. We would really appreciate it. We're trying to build a community around this little jobber. So come join us there. All right, thanks. Until next time.
Take care of yourselves.
Looking for the wonder.
Bye.